Some stories remind us that light can be stolen, but it can never be stolen forever. Some stories show us that envy is louder than appreciation, and that spiritual eyes see what normal eyes ignore. This is the story of Oma. A young girl in her 20s, gentle, humble, and blessed with a star she never asked for. A star so bright. It attracted favor, kindness, and love from strangers. A star so powerful. It called envy into the heart of the woman who was supposed to protect her. This is also the story of Madame Abiodun. A woman consumed by silent envy, who allowed greed to lead her into darkness. This story will take you through envy, betrayal, spiritual theft, silent battles, prayers that shook the ground, a downfall no one expected, and a restoration that only God can bring to live. Settle in. Take a deep breath. And follow the journey of Oma, the girl who reclaimed her destiny. Oma arrived the city with only her bag and her mother's prayers. She came with hope and faith, ready to learn hairstyling and become someone her mother could be proud of. When she arrived the city, she sighted a beautiful hair salon and walked straight to the shop owned by Madame Abiodun, a medium-sized shop painted with beautiful colors. The walls carried pictures of braided hairstyles, smiling faces, and celebrity looks. She told Madame Abiodun she was interested in learning hairstyling and pleaded with her to accommodate her. Madame Abiodun was skeptical at first but later agreed to help her. That was how Oma started working with her. From the very first week, something began to happen. Whenever Oma welcomed customers, they responded with unusual warmth. "Good afternoon, Ma," she would say with smiles on her face. Some customers would smile the moment they looked at her. Others would pat her shoulder and say, "God bless you, my dear." Some gave her money, even when she didn't make their hair. One man brought drinks for the shop and said, "That small girl, there's something about her spirit. She carries peace." Another woman gave her money and whispered, "You have a beautiful spirit and you will go far in life." Even little children preferred her. "Mommy, let that fine auntie braid my hair," they insisted. Even the workers noticed they have never seen someone with such light and grace. Madame Abiodun began to watch Oma closely. At first, she was happy. "This girl is drawing customers, I love it, this feels good." But as days turned to weeks, her smile began to fade and she started getting uncomfortable. Why should one person get so much attention from everybody that comes to her shop? Even in the compound where I live, the kind of love my neighbors show her, they have never showed me such love. She noticed that people asked for Oma more than her. People who never looked at her before now preferred her apprentice. Even old customers said, "Where's that quiet small girl? She has magical hands." Envy began to creep into Madame Abiodun's heart. One evening after closing time, Abiodun stood in front of her mirror, staring at her reflection. "She just came yesterday and people are loving her this much," she murmured. "I don't even have a child of my own and this one is here with a star so bright." A dark thought crossed her mind. This girl is not ordinary. Her star is too bright for her age. Then she said the words that opened the door of darkness. "If I had this girl's star, if I take her glory, my life would change completely. Just imagine the love that would be showered on me." In the following days, Madame Abiodun began treating Oma differently. When customers smiled at the girl, she frowned. When people gave Oma gifts, she pretended not to see. Every night she sat alone, troubled, with negative thoughts running through her mind. Why should a young girl have what I never had? Why should her star shine more than mine? Every blessing Oma received, Abiodun counted it like a painful wound, and slowly, quietly, her heart opened to something dangerous. One very hot afternoon, after a customer dropped 5,000 Nigerian nairas for Oma just because she liked her spirit, Abiodun's mind broke completely. She waited until everyone left. She locked the shop and sat on the floor. And she whispered, I must get her star. I must. No going back. That night, she packed a small bag and left for a far village known for witchcraft. Omar slept peacefully, not knowing someone was planning to steal her destiny. The moon that night was thin and shy, hanging quietly in the sky as if it didn't want to witness what Madame Abiodun was about to do. She drove deep into a village where the houses looked old and the trees whispered like they had secrets. The witch doctor's house was built with mud and decorated with strange symbols. Smoke rose from a pot inside. The whole place smelled like burnt leaves and something bitter. Madame Abiodun stood at the entrance, her heart beating fast. A part of her knew this was wrong. But envy had pushed her too far. A voice from inside called, Enter. She walked in slowly. The witch doctor was an elderly woman with long beads around her neck. Her eyes were sharp and unsettling, as though she could see through her skin. She asked, Why have you come? Abiodun swallowed. There is a girl that works with me. In fact, she stays with me. She is too blessed, too favored and loved by all. I want her star. The woman nodded as if she had heard the same request 100 times. She stood up slowly, with a black substance in her hand and began chanting in a language Abiodun didn't understand. After a while, she looked at her and said, The girl is special. Her star is bright. If you take it, your life will change. But the consequences? I don't care, she snapped. Just give me the charm. The witch stared at her, then sighed. She handed her a small leather charm and said the dangerous instruction. Tomorrow, while at the shop, touch the black substance and wipe her face with your bare hand. Do it gently. Do it like you are showing care. Her star will leave her body and follow you forever. Madame Abiodun held the charm with shaking hands. Her greed had finally drowned everyone in. That night she returned home. Omar, who was still awake, welcomed her and Madame Abiodun forced a weak smile. The next day, Omar woke up very early as usual and did her house chores, took her bath, had a light meal and went to the shop early, smiling softly as she put the place in order. She didn't know her destiny was about to shift. Madame Abiodun came to the shop a few minutes later. She entered the shop with a fake smile plastered on her face. Omar, the hard-working girl, you are a blessing to me, she said sweetly. Omar looked up. Welcome, Ma. You work too hard, let me help you today, Abiodun said, walking closer. Omar had smiles on her face. In that moment, Abiodun placed her palm on Omar's face and dragged it down gently, exactly as the witch doctor instructed. A cold breeze blew inside the shop. Omar frowned slightly. Ma, are you okay? Yes. I'm fine, Abiodun said with shaky breath. But spiritually, something heavy had just left Omar. Something precious, a star so bright, her glory. Her star moved and entered the woman who touched her. That same day, things changed immediately. For Abiodun, favor started rushing in. Customers who never greeted her started calling her beautiful, kind, powerful. Old customers who forgot her number suddenly returned. People started blessing her with money, gifts, and praises, something she had never experienced. Her shop was full, her shine grew louder and louder. She smiled secretly. It worked, she said to herself. For Omar. Her light dimmed. The next customer who walked in looked at her and frowned for no reason. I don't want that girl to touch my hair, the woman said loudly. Omar was shocked. Another customer who used to give her food refused to greet her. Even children avoided her. Mommy, I don't like that auntie, one little girl said, pointing at Omar. Her heart broke a little. What did I do wrong? She whispered to herself. That week, no one gave her anything, no smiles and no kindness, nothing, they just made their hair and left. She began making mistakes at work, dropping pins, twisting hair wrongly, getting confused. Abiodun scolded her harshly. Omar, what is wrong with you? You are becoming useless. What has changed? Is this how you want to start behaving here? Omar cried quietly that night. She couldn't fathom what was wrong. Everything just switched up on her. Everything bright in her life had suddenly become dark. And she didn't know someone had stolen her star. One particular afternoon, a regular customer entered the shop. Someone who used to hug Omar warmly. But the moment the lady saw her, she hissed loudly. You again. You irritate me. Move away. The word stabbed Omar's heart deeply. She went to the back of the shop and cried profusely. Her tears fell on the ground like drops of confusion. Later that night, she approached Madame Abiodun. Ma, please, I want to go home. I want to see my mother. Something is wrong with me. I can't help it. Abiodun pretended to be caring. Oh, my dear, you can go. Rest well, but don't stay for too long. But in her mind, she said, your star is mine now. Omar packed her small bag, the same one she came to the city with. She boarded a bus heading to her village, crying quietly as the bus moved. At some point, she looked out of the window and said, God, what is happening to me? Please help me. I can't continue like this. She got to her home in the village. Her mother opened the door and was surprised to see her. Omar, what happened? You didn't inform me you were coming. How is your madam? Mama, I am not fine. She wrapped Omar in her arms and said, just relax and tell me exactly what is going on. Omar told her mother about the hatred people have for her, how the customers at the shop who used to love her, praise her and gift her money and other things switched on her in the most unkind ways. Mama, customers don't even want me to touch their hair. Even when I go to the market, people look at me like I am wearing an invisible horrifying mask. Her mother told her that something must be wrong. You are a destiny child filled with light. I hope no one has tampered with your destiny, she asked. Mama, how am I supposed to know that? I don't look for trouble. I haven't offended anyone. Her mother gave a deep sigh and said, don't worry, I know exactly what to do. And just like that, the real battle began. Mama Omar prepared a meal for Omar. After eating, she sat beside her daughter on the bed and held her hands gently. Omar, my child, I am happy you came. We will fix things by the grace of God. Omar tried to speak, but tears came first. She cried like her heart was breaking open. Mama, I don't know what I did. Everybody hates me now. No one wants me near them. I don't even feel like myself anymore. Her mother wiped her tears slowly. My daughter, I can sense in my spirit that this is not ordinary. Somebody touched you spiritually. Mama, but why? I didn't offend anyone. Some humans can be so desperate, they can do anything to take what isn't theirs, Mama Omar said calmly. Bright children attract envy. Omar's throat tightened. She remembered how her madam touched her face that morning, the strange way she did it, the rush of cold breeze. Mama, there was a day my madam wiped my face with her hand in an unusual way, I don't know why. Her mother's eyes widened slowly. Have you noticed anything suspicious about her before, like her lifestyle? Not really, Mama, but that touch doesn't feel okay to me, Omar said. Omar broke down again, sobbing into her mother's arms. Early the next morning, they went to a small church at the edge of the village, a humble building made of wood, with no big signboard, no loud decoration. But the atmosphere carried peace. The prophet, an elderly man with quiet eyes, welcomed them. Mama Omar and her beautiful daughter, how are you doing? And why are you here this early? Man of God, something has touched my daughter. She is not herself. I sensed her star was stolen spiritually. Her life is upside down. The prophet looked at Omar once and sighed deeply. My goodness, you are right, this girl's star has been wiped. Omar gasped. Sir, what does that mean? It means your glory was transferred. But the hand that took it will face the wrath she might think she is enjoying it, but darkness never gives for free. He asked Omar to kneel down. He closed his eyes and prayed for her. Within a minute, he said, "The person who took your star is someone close to you. A woman. Older than you. Your boss." Omar's heart dropped. The prophet continued, "She desired your destiny because she saw light around you. But your star is not something she can keep. It is protected by your mother's prayers. You will need 3 days fasting and prayers. If you do it, everything the enemy took will return." Omar nodded, tears dripping down her chin. "I will do it." "Oh my Madam Abiodun, how can you be this wicked?" Omar screamed. Omar felt terrible. "All will be fine, just do as instructed," the prophet said. So they left. Day 1 of the fasting began with weakness. Omar felt heavy. She felt drained, she felt like giving up, but her mother stayed with her, praying beside her. Day 2 came with strange dreams. She dreamed that something was dragging her by the neck, trying to pull her backward. She saw Madam Abiodun laughing in the dream. But she also saw a bright figure coming for her to pull her away from danger. On day 3, something shifted. As she prayed, her body started shaking. She felt heat in her chest. Her mother shouted, "Her star is returning. Pray harder, my daughter," and the mother joined her. Omar cried out, calling her destiny back, calling her shine back, calling her life back. At the end of the 3rd day, she felt light, free, different, and peace in her heart. She didn't understand everything, but something inside her had been restored. While Omar was in the village, Madam Abiodun was enjoying her borrowed glory in the city. Customers flocked to her, money poured in, favor flowed like water, everything was working for her good. But one day, an image flashed in her face. She saw Omar shining like the sun. A prophet stood beside her. Fire surrounded them both. She started sweating, panting, terrified. No, something is happening. My charm is shaking. I can't let this happen." That same day she rushed back to the same village and met the witch doctor again. Her face was heavy. Immediately she entered, the witch said, "Woman, the star you took is returning to its owner." "What?" she shouted. "She is fasting. She is praying. Her mother is praying. And a prophet is standing in the gap. If you don't stop them, everything you took will escape your hands." Abiodun's face turned dark with anger. "How do I stop them?" The witch doctor leaned forward and said, "You must go to the girl. Bring her back possible, lock her away. Do whatever you must, but you must stop her prayers." Abiodun nodded slowly. "I will go and look for her and stop her from destroying this life I'm currently enjoying. I will bring her back and lock her up, but I must first deal with that so-called prophet." "Do you know where she is?" the witch doctor asked. Yes, she described the village for me. I know her village. I will monitor her closely when I get there so I can do things in an unsuspicious way," Madam Abiodun said. "You can leave now, move fast before it is too late." 2 days later, she arrived secretly and lodged in a small local hotel at the outskirts of the village. She didn't want anyone to know she was there. She watched the streets and tried to track Omar's movements. One particular evening, she saw Omar walking with her mother, looking healthier and brighter than before. Abiodun felt fear and anger at the same time. "She thinks she can escape me," she whispered. That evening, she followed them closely, parked her car and watched as they entered the church. She waited outside until they came out and went home. Then, with a heart full of wicked intention, she walked into the church to confront the prophet and threaten him. "I am Madam Abiodun, you see that girl that just left here, stay away from her, stop praying for her, else I will deal with you first before dealing with her. She is my sales girl and I have been helping her, now she wants to ruin me." What audacity, the prophet said. "Already know who you are, you failed already. I am with them, no turning back, I have no power of my own, God will fight this battle and disgrace you." We shall see. Madam Abiodun snapped her finger and walked away. The village was calm and quiet, but inside a small hotel at the outskirts, Madam Abiodun was boiling with anger. Her hands shook as she gripped her phone. The picture of her threatening the Prophet and Omar seen praying with her mother and the Prophet appeared in her subconscious, and heartbeat of that vision filled her with rage. This girl, she thinks she can escape me, she will be locked for life, Abiodun muttered, pacing her room. That night, she stormed the church again. The Prophet was sitting calmly when Abiodun entered. You! Stop praying for that girl, she shouted, her voice trembling with fury. I will destroy anyone who continues. The Prophet stood slowly, looking directly at her. His eyes were calm but piercing. Return to where you came from, woman, he said. Evil will not prosper. You will face the consequences of your deeds if you continue. Abiodun's face darkened. She tried to speak, but the words of the Prophet were like chains binding her tongue. She left the church, her hatred now burning like fire in her veins. Days later, Abiodun received the bad news. Her shop, her pride, her empire of deceit, was engulfed in flames. What? How? She screamed. Her voice was so loud it shook the walls of the hotel. The hotel manager knocked, worried about the commotion. She screamed back. Nothing is wrong. I am fine. But deep inside, panic and fear had replaced her usual confidence. She felt the walls of her world collapsing. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Her mind raced, thinking of the lost money, the angry customers, and the sudden emptiness. Blinded by frustration and desperation, she decided to act. After much inquiry, she called some local men she knew were capable of causing fear. She wanted them to go to the church and strangle the Prophet. Follow me, she barked. I will show you where to meet the man. The men obeyed, and together they got into her car. Abiodun's mind was filled with wicked thoughts, imagining how she would reclaim the power she had lost. The car sped along the dusty road, with Abiodun shouting instructions to the men. The sky was darkening with clouds, a storm threatening from afar. The tension in the vehicle was thick. Suddenly, the car hit a pothole. Abiodun tried to control it, but her hands were shaking. The vehicle swerved dangerously. Crash! The car flipped multiple times, rolling across the road violently. When the dust settled, the scene was catastrophic. Madam Abiodun and the men she had hired lay lifeless among the wreckage. One man, however, remained untouched. He walked away as if he had been protected by an unseen hand. Shocked, trembling, he fell to his knees on the road. Thank you, God. Thank you for saving me, he cried, tears streaming down his face. The man who survived could not forget the day. He had been involved in evil, but the accident changed him forever. He ran home, praying fervently, promising God he would never indulge in wickedness again. From that day, he became a preacher of truth, warning others against greed, envy, and evil acts. He shared his story widely, reminding everyone that evil never triumphs over divine protection. With Abiodun gone, the spiritual roadblocks for Omar began to vanish. The prayers and the fasting had already begun restoring her destiny. Omar and her mother had no idea of the accident at first. The Prophet sent for them and told them about the threat he has been getting from Abiodun. How did you know her? Omar asked. She introduced herself to me. She is very evil, the Prophet said. And you didn't bother to tell us until now, Mama, Omar said. I know it is a spiritual battle and I don't want your heart troubled. I heard the news of her death. She died with some dangerously looking men in her car. Omar felt a strange mix of sorrow and relief. Madam Abiodun, you are very bad. You even came here to cause more damages. Now see how you ended. Omar knew Abiodun had caused her so much pain, yet she still wept for a human life lost. And in her heart, she whispered a prayer. Lord, thank you for protecting me. Thank you for restoring my star. The village air was fresh that morning, carrying the scent of wet earth from the previous night's rain. Birds sang as if celebrating a victory. And Oma, she felt differently. Her heart was lighter. Her steps were steady. She felt safe. Oma noticed great changes. People smiled at her again. She laughed without feeling fear. Her hands, which had seemed clumsy at the salon, now moved with precision and confidence. Her mother watched her with tears in her eyes. You see, my daughter, your star was never lost. It only needed prayers and God's divine intervention to return. Oma hugged her mother tightly. Thank you, Mama. Thank you for never giving up on me. It was a quiet morning, but inside, it was as if the sun itself had risen again for her. With the enemy gone and her star fully restored, Oma returned to her love, hairstyling. She started helping neighbors, friends, and people from nearby villages. Every hair she braided carried a touch of her gentle spirit. People noticed her talent immediately. Word spread quickly, everyone wanted Oma to braid their hair. Customers came not just for her skill, but for her aura, the light that had been returned to her. Money started coming in, but Oma never asked for it, people gave freely. Customers brought gifts, and some even offered small loans to help her set up her own salon. In a short time, Oma saved enough to open her own shop in the city close to her village. The villagers celebrated with her. Her mother, who had always prayed and believed in her, moved to the city with her. The salon was modest at first, but its reputation spread like wildfire. People came from far and wide, different towns and cities, just to have Oma braid their hair. Her hands carried not just skill, but a blessing that many felt when sitting on a chair. As years passed, Oma became the best-known hairstylist in her town. She helped her mother live comfortably in their beautiful home in the city. She trained young girls in hairstyling, teaching them both skill and the importance of humility, patience, and faith. Every time someone complimented her, she remembered her journey, the stolen star, the prayers, the fasting, the darkness, and the victory. Her story became an inspiration to many, a reminder that faith, persistence, and righteousness can restore what was taken and elevate you beyond imagination. Oma often sat in her shop quietly, watching people come and go. Sometimes, she remembered Madam Abiodun, not with hatred, but with understanding that envy and darkness can destroy a person faster than anything else can. She whispered quietly to herself, God never allows evil to triumph over his children. My star was never mine alone, it was always his gift. And no one can steal what God has destined for me. As the sun set, painting the sky with gold and purple, Oma looked around her shop. Her mother by her side. Customers smiling, laughter filling the air, she finally felt whole, free, and truly blessed. This story teaches us that envy and greed brings destruction. Spiritual blessings cannot be stolen forever. Faith, prayer, and persistence can restore what was lost. True talent, when coupled with humility, attracts genuine favor. If you enjoyed this life-changing story, kindly subscribe, like, share and drop comments. Thank you for watching.